Okay, welcome to our inaugural episode of Fun with Learning Academy. So, this is the program where we make learning fun, and it still includes all of the school subjects with reading, math, social studies, science, writing, computer programming, we even have, and we have some extracurriculums like music, art, and sports. So let's head into today's reading lesson. We had a great math lesson, and we talked about a fun little triangle question, and now we're going to go into our reading lesson. So here we go. As we're going to go to our benchmark magazine. Oops, something happened. Okay. All right, so let me find the magazine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do benchmark, which you guys probably all know from school, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it than what your school teacher regularly does, probably. So today's essential question. Actually, let me have you think about our essential question of the day. How do we decide which resources we should develop? So that is our essential question. And this year, we're going to be focusing on corn a lot. All right. So I want to figure out a couple of words. Cultivate, develop, landscape, and resource. So whatever, just use your context clues. You can search it up on a reference, and please write the definitions down and submit them to our Google Classroom site, which I always prevent. I will put a link to. And so these four words, cultivate, develop, landscape, and resource, are the words that I want you to define. Okay, so assuming you've given a shot at it, I'm going to recover the meanings of them. So I'm going to tell you that cultivate, this word cultivate, basically means to use land for crops and agriculture. Now develop, I'm sure you guys probably know what develop means. It's to just develop, right? Okay, I probably don't need to explain that. Landscape. Now landscape is sort of like a field or a piece of land. And a resource is something that you need to survive. So I want you guys to explain some of the resources you know about. Write them down. Some resources I know about are what? Do you know about trees? I don't know, water. All right, so just think about a couple. I want you to list three. Now, number two, I wonder how what affects people's lives. That resource you chose affects people's lives, okay? I wonder how, let's say, water affects people's lives. And now just think about it. How does water affect people's lives? Let's say you chose water. I'm assuming you probably didn't choose water, but let's just say you chose water. I wonder how water affects people's lives. All right, so let's say water gives people stuff to drink, it makes them survive. So that's a resource. Now let's say water was gone. What would happen? Think about that. All right. So I want you to keep thinking about that, and please feel free to pause the video always and think. So now we're going to go into some real world perspectives that you see down here. So think about these three questions. How do humans rely on other living and non-living resources for survival? All right, please pause the video, take a look, think, and write it down on a piece of paper maybe. And you can always submit it to our Google Classroom if you want. I'm just going to put an assignment, and you're just going to submit everything you have on a Google Doc. You're going to write it down, you're going to copy it, and you're going to submit it there. I'm going to grade it, okay? So, how do humans rely on other living and non-living resources for survival? Okay, what's a living resource we rely on? Trees, shown in the picture here, corn, What non-living things do we rely on? Think about that. All right, so what resources are most important for human survival? You think? I would list water, food, corn is one. Trees are really important, right? Just list, okay? Now, how do human choices impact plant and animal ecosystems? So let's say you cut down all the trees. What would happen to the birds? Their habitat is gone, right? Okay, just think about it. You removed all the water. What would happen? All right, just think about those things, okay? So that's our little real-world perspective there. And now I want you guys to think about the essential question here. How do we decide which resources we should develop? Now, just use common sense. This is sort of like math, right? How do we decide which resources we should develop? Well, I'm not going to give you the answer, but I'm just going to say you're going to learn all about this essential question, and you should be able to answer this by the end of this unit, all right? So we're going to keep moving on. So think about your resource you chose. I'm going to use water again. Let's say, how does water affect people's lives? So I think you answered that. And how can water affect the way we live? What would happen if water did something? You did something to water, like you polluted it or something. What would happen? All right, think about that. All right, so I want you to think of a couple of words here and define them. They might be easy. Sea. So I want you to picture what a sea is. All right. Just think about it. I'm going to give you a clue. Sea is a synonym for ocean, if you didn't know that. So sea, just picture a sea. Okay, now fish, right? You know what a fish is probably. Picture a fish. A forest. Picture a forest. Oil. Picture oil. And resources. Picture resources. All right, so now you're going to substitute each one into this sentence. Blank is a resource. It gives people blank. All right, so basically what this is, sea, fish, forest, and oil are all examples of resources. All right, so let's say I'll use the first one. Sea is a resource. It gives people water or, you know, a place to play, you can even say. So use the following phrase to help partners complete it. So why do people need sea? Why do people need the sea? Think about it. Well, I mean, all our fish comes from the sea. All right, so that might be one. Water might be one. So just keep thinking about it, and now I submit these to our Google Classroom, and we're going to keep going. All right. Okay, let me get out of this. All right, so that'll do it for our reading lesson. But keep in mind to think about these questions and always help keep that central question in mind. How do we decide which resources we should develop? Okay, just give me an example. Let's say you want to develop corn. Why would you develop a corn? Does it feed people? Does it provide, I don't know, hydrogen? I'm sorry, not hydrogen, oxygen? It does do photosynthesis. What does it do? Just tell me, all right? And we'll learn about corn this whole unit, so you don't need to be worried if you don't know anything about it. All right, so that was a quick introduction, and that'll do it for lesson 1 of reading. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on Fun with Learning Academy. Bye. And I think next time it's going to be either social studies or science. So please watch those 2 episodes as well.